essentially you're saying, why is it that we free energy when we stop resisting something, right? So the long answer to the more technical answer to that is, of course, that human beings have a finite amount of energy per second that we have available. And we talk about this often when we talk about go versus flow and us being in the head and not bringing enough energy into the body, right? So that's a classic example of energy conservation or energy distribution, I should rather say, where you are essentially pooling the energy where you need it and you don't send it where you don't need it. And in the context of that, of course, because there's a finite amount of energy available, any energy you need to brace against something, both physically and emotionally and mentally, can't be used for anything else. And so hence, we were talking about this with Olga yesterday, right? When you have to spend a lot of your energy, let's say, your mental, emotional, and sometimes physical energy on coping with something. Coping requires, pushing something down and bending yourself into some shape so you can function or whatever it is, right? All of those things will take available bandwidth away. So very much like a Saturday evening on a bad internet connection where everybody's watching Netflix and your thing just, spins and spins and spins. It's a bit like that. You don't have a lot of available energy, life force energy. So and this is, by the way, very well evidenced, of course, also when you have a knot, let's say a muscle knot, right? If somebody works out a muscle knot in your body work, the resulting, when they open the knot, you can almost feel the rush of the energy distributing through the body again. And you have more available energy. And very often after a good massage, you feel really energized the next day because, there's more available. It's not balled up in these muscle bumps. Excuse me. So the same is true for the emotional bumps, so to speak. Wherever we have a hold or clench or resistance, we have to pool energy that can be used. And so when we then open the resistance, by the very nature, there's more available. So that can take on different forms. So maybe in your case, you had like you said, you were resistant in the form of being scared. And then that lifted, and what happened was kind of a almost heart opening. So your energy went into the opening of the heart. For some people, it would open their body. For some people, it would open their mind, or a combination thereof. So where the energy goes depends on the closure, right? So different people have different closures around things. For some people, there's jealousy. For some people, there's competitiveness. For some people, there's fear. For some people, there's resistance or judgment. And wherever it sits, when you move that through your body, you just have a little bit more available energy. And funnily, of course, when we talk about flavors you bring to somebody, those flavors that you resist the most are typically the most erotic ones for your partner. Because those are the ones that they don't get from you. Right? It's the old, if you don't get salt, right, all you're going to crave is salt. But then once you had a bit of salt, you're fine, right? And so the flavor that you resist to be is the flavor that your partner misses. And then even though that might not be their favorite flavor, they're going to want that flavor in some way, right? And hence, people use porn or leer at actresses in movies or worse, right? Because there's whatever you want to call it, flavor deficiencies in all of us, right? We have, we fall into a category and we like to stay in that band. That's why I did the flavor families, because you can tell where you are. And then wherever you are, you can go lighter or darker from there, so to speak, to expand your flavor capacity. And typically, wherever you don't go at all, your partner will go, "Oh my God, it was amazing. What was that?" Because it's not you. And you know how they say a change is as good as a rest. Or a bit less friendly, what does a man need on a deserted island? Food, water, pussy, strange pussy. It's a horrible joke, but you know. So your resistant flavor is strange pussy, so to speak. Right? There's two things that happen in relationship. One is how you're compatible, and one is how you're sexually attracted. And so for the sake of sexual attraction, you need two different people so that, you know how they say opposites attract? That's true for the sexual part. When somebody is too much like you, you're not really attracted to them. Because why? Right? There's no excitement, there's no arc, no spark. But if they're so far away from you that you can no longer relate to them, then you might have great sex, but the relationship doesn't really work that well. So you need a level of compatibility, but you need a few things that are different enough so you can find that spark. Right? So that's the first thing to say. The thing is that you know what's good for you when you say, we assume you know what's good for you, when you pick the same man to marry as you would pick the same man if you would have to be with one man for the rest of your life on a deserted island, right? So if that man is kind of whom you pick, there's a reason for that. What's the reason? This is also the quality that your boyfriend has that makes him your boyfriend. Yeah, because conceivably you will have lots of choices and you pick that one because he had that kindness and care emotionally. But then you judge him. Here's the thing that you want to be clear on. Your entire being says, I take care of shit, right? So you have a big sign over your head that says, I take care of shit. I take care of shit really well, right? So any man who's attracted to you is going to go, she knows how to take care of shit. I have other qualities that I can bring, right? So that's the important thing to understand. Why would a man want to compete with you? That would be horrendous. Imagine you are with your boyfriend and suddenly he's fighting you every step along the way on the things that you want to have a grip on. It's important to understand that these are dynamics, right? It's not that he's not capable, but no man in his right mind is going to fight every step along the way for the dominance of getting shit done. Men are typically extremely good at managing energy, right? If you pick something up, they won't. Right? Yes. They just don't, because it's a waste of energy, right? Men are extremely energy efficient. And so if you do something, they won't do it. If you say, please do that, they'll go, okay. But, in the best case scenario, they go, okay. But, in an ideal scenario, you map out responsibilities up front, so to speak, right? But the important piece here is, would you really enjoy being out of control in the areas that you have control over right now? Then there's your answer, right? The thing is, it's good, it's nice to say, I would like my man to do these things, but if you are not actually okay with not doing those things, you actually need a man who isn't that invested in doing those things. Yes, oh shit is the only answer, but it's not a problem, right? Because in a good relationship, outside of all the dogma, what's important is that everybody plays to their strengths. It's totally, easygoing. Shit still gets done, but who knows how, right? He's relaxed, but he's giving you emotional support, and he's caring, and he bakes the bread, so to speak, right? Now, that's not a bad choice for a man for you. But if you say you want to be less, go on steroids, then what that will mean is that you have to willingly relinquish some of these things so he can pick them up. And that's going to require a whole other set of work, you know. And that's the important piece, is that you have to feel, because we're not, in an ideal world, you wouldn't have these trauma responses and you'd also be very relaxed, right? But you're not there yet. Doesn't mean you won't get there, but that doesn't happen overnight, right? Because these are very ingrained responses. And usually these responses are the responses that make us successful. And they're the responses that make us live well in the world. And so the thing to remember is that you're not going to feel safe for yourself, for your own. You won't be able to provide your own safety if you don't have a certain grip on things. Mm-hmm. So what you want to look at is where in your life are you willing to relinquish some of that grip, right? And then go, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. And you might have to say to him, I really need your help. It's always good when you want something from a man, instead of going, I need you too, right? You go, I really need your help. Here's a thing that I'm working on. I don't want to be this controlling or this insane about this thing all the time. What would really help me is if you could take this over, right? Whatever this is. I would start with something really small. And then he'll say, okay, most likely, right? Because unless it's something that he's absolutely shit at, then you shouldn't pick that, right? But something that you know, I don't know, make him responsible of the fun you want to have or something like that, right? And then he'll go, okay. But then the next thing that's going to happen is when he then does the fun thing that you want him to do, let's say he's responsible for doing fun outings, right? You're going to go, this is not the way I should have done it. You know, and you're like sitting there with a sour face and you're twitching because he's not doing it right. And he's going to go in his mind, fuck that. You know, why? And so you will have to learn how to be okay with his way of doing things and actually be wildly excited about it and just twitch inwardly, you know, like, oh, this is so much fun, right? That's the only way out of the thing for yourself as well, where you go, see, other people do things differently and I'm okay with that and I'm not dying and there's nothing wrong with him not having bought the tickets to the thing. We're having a good time. Well, he's having a good time, but I'm trying to have a good time. And over time, you will actually be able to relax enough that you can have him do things that you no longer want to do. But while you're not willing to relinquish those things, it's useless to look for a man who does those things, because believe me, a man who does those things and you will not get along, right? So it's like a seesaw, right? It's like within your nervous system or so. It's a seesaw. If you are up, he has to be down. That's how it goes in relationship. But you will have to articulate that, and the way you articulate it is by going, I need help. Right? I'd like to jump off that crazy hamster wheel I'm on. But for that, I will need support. And here are some of the things that are where I have a hard time letting go. Right? I feel like we have to have a certain amount of money. I feel like we have to have X. You know, I feel like I need security, and I'm willing to go. Okay, I'll slow down for my health and well-being and our relationship, but that would mean you'll have to pick some stuff up. It's a fairly high chance, if he's a good guy, and which we think he is, that he'll go, okay, I'll make some more dough. The thing that you don't ever want to do with your chosen partner is become their mother. You know, meaning, when are you gonna, you know, I really need you to clean your room, and then, you know, you need to go and do your chores so that you make the money so you can do the thing. Like, you just go, I need help. This would be great as a support for the two of us together. I think it would be lovely if we can figure this out, right? And then just drop it and see what happens. If he's a decent man and a good man for you, he'll think about it and he'll come back and say, well, here's a few things I can do. Might take a moment, but, yeah. But the important piece is that as long as you're not willing to let it go, he's not going to pick it up. No. And very few women are willing to just stop earning and then go, help! We don't have enough for the gas bill or whatever, right? Do something, right? I mean, that feels intensely scary. That would probably be one way to make it happen really fast, but you're probably not willing to do that. So a conversation is more likely going to yield some results. But really, it's a matter of can you let it go? Because if you can't let it go, meaning if you can't let go of some aspects of control, it's useless because it's just torturing him.